On behalf of Brigadier General Thomas J. Tickner, welcome to the Japan Engineer District, Pacific Ocean Division, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Change of Command Ceremony. Today's ceremony marks the passing of the colors, the symbol of command, from Colonel Rafael F. Pazos to Colonel Thomas J. Verell, Jr. At this time, we'd like to recognize some of our distinguished guests. Please hold your applause until all introductions have been completed. From Pacific Ocean Division, Regional Business Director, Mr. Kikowski. From U.S. Forces Japan, Director J4, Colonel Jernigan. Command Engineer, Colonel Nufable. From the Japanese Ministry of Defense, Facilities Construction and Procurement Director, Mr. Sugiyama. U.S. Facilities Construction and Planning Director, Mr. Miyazaki. Facilities Engineering Management and Research Director, Mr. Ogiya. FIP Director, Mr. Takano. North Kanto Defense Bureau Deputy Director General, Mr. Sato. South Kanto Defense Bureau Procurement Director, Dr. Morrow. Okinawa Defense Bureau Procurement Director, Mr. Inoue. Kinki-Chubu Defense Bureau Procurement Director, Mr. Kawamoto. From U.S. Army Japan, Deputy Commander Colonel Grabsky. From U.S. Army Garrison Japan, Garrison Commander Colonel Gage. The outgoing Garrison Command Sergeant Major Holland. Deputy to the Garrison Commander, Mr. Niederreiter. From Naval Facilities Engineering Command Far East, Commanding Officer Captain Kinney. From 5th Air Force, Director, Logistics, Engineering, and Force Protection, Colonel Gilpin. From the 374th Mission Support Group, Commander Colonel Anderson. From the Japan Ground Self-Defense Force, 4th Engineer Group Commander Colonel Amako. Zama General Service Unit Commander Colonel Shibuya. Please join me in a round of applause in honor of our distinguished guests. The reviewing officer for today's ceremony is Brigadier General Thomas J. Tickner, Commander and Division Engineer, Pacific Ocean Division, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Music is provided by Pacific Brass from the U.S. Army Japan Band under the direction of Sergeant First Class Eric Farrera. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the playing of the national anthems of Japan and United States of America, and remain standing for the invocation which will be given by U.S. Army Garrison Japan Deputy Chaplain Hernandez.
Let us pray. Lord, before all else, a word of thanks, for it is always good to thank the giver of so many graces. As we elevate our word of gratitude, we thank you for Colonel Pazos and for the extraordinary way in which he has cared for and led each and every one of us. We ask that you accompany him as he takes this new step in his personal and professional life, and that you continue to shed your light upon him and all of his. We also thank you for the grace of receiving Colonel Verell as he arrives to us. Grant him your grace and light to continue to care for each and every one of his subordinates. May he feel welcomed and experience the greatness of the plan that you have set before him. In your most holy name, we pray. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. At this time, on behalf of the command, Logistics Chief Jess Kotleski is presenting yellow roses to Mrs. Verell as a symbol of welcoming to the district. We equally welcome the Verell children, Cameron and Violette, to our family and to our community by presenting each with a coin. The Japan Engineer District is one of 4 districts in United States Army Corps of Engineers Pacific Ocean Division. Japan District started its operations on May 15, 1972, but its origins lie amid the destruction left by World War II's Pacific Theater. From 1945 to 1957, engineer work in Japan was carried out by military units such as the 8th Army Engineers, the 5th Air Force Engineers, and the U.S. Army Construction Agency, Japan. With an initial strength of 105 people, Japan Engineer District has grown to a workforce of more than 460 people, with outlying offices in Okinawa, Iwakuni Marine Corps Air Station, Yokota Air Force Base, and Yokosuka, Misawa, Sasebo Naval Bases. At this time, the official party will move forward for the change of command. From the beginning of history, armed forces have carried a banner or other emblems to serve as a symbol of unity and strength. Today, this time-honored tradition continues. Leaders, commanders, and soldiers come and go, but organizational colors remain timeless, representing the honorable performance of the unit in the past and the promise of its future success. A unit's colors signify its history and symbolically reflects the accomplishments and pride of its members. The passing of the colors symbolizes the transfer of authority from the outgoing commander to the incoming commander. It also demonstrates to the civilians and soldiers of the organization that the mantle of leadership now passes to the new commander, and with it, the loyalty of the workforce. Today, Brigadier General Tickner will pass the Japan Engineer District colors from Colonel Pazos to Colonel Verell to signify the seamless transfer of leadership from the outgoing to the incoming commander. By authority of Army Regulation 600-20, paragraph 2-5 Bravo, the undersigned assumes command of United States Army Corps of Engineers, Japan District, effective 12 July 2018. Signed, Thomas J. Verell, Jr., Colonel, Engineer, Commanding. Ladies and gentlemen, the 33rd Commander of Division Engineer, Pacific Ocean Division, Brigadier General Thomas J. Tickner.
Good morning. I'd like to personally welcome a few people as I get started here today. And first off, to Colonel Grabsky. We just had a great award ceremony for Colonel Pazos, but thanks for representing General Pascaret from United States Army, Japan. Also, the 4th Engineer Group Commander from the Japan Ground Defense Forces, Amako, welcome. Partners from the Ministry of Defense. I see a lot of friends out here in the first 2 rows. And everyone gathered here today at the Engineer District, the Japan Engineer District Change of Command. So I would be remiss this morning if I didn't acknowledge and pass our thoughts and prayers on for the tragic events that were caused by the flooding in Western Japan. We're no stranger to flooding in the United States, and we are with our Japanese partners as they respond and recover. So on to some good news here. This is the first time I think my wife Sherry and I have actually done a business trip on one of our events here in the Pacific. I get to travel a lot, but this is the first time we've traveled together. So we were in Tokyo. We ate a lot of sushi. We did saw a lot of temples, and we even rode in a rickshaw. And this will go down as one of our most memorable events here in the Pacific as I was as a commander. So this is a momentous occasion worthy of pause. Time is a most precious resource and shows just the importance of recognizing the significance of today. First, I'd like to thank all the contributors who put this spectacular ceremony together. Let's give them a round of applause. So this ceremony represents the organization's respect for the leader, respect for the organization's members. As you just heard, the formal order was used to lawfully pass the authority from Colonel Pazos to Colonel Verell. The passing of the colors is used visually to signify this passing of authority. The ceremony comes at an important time in the Indo-Pacific theater. The Japan Engineer District is on the front lines of any potential contingency operations here in the Pacific. The importance of JED's mission cannot be overstated. Because of the dedication of our JED workforce and many of the folks in this room today, and all the family members and the 50,000 service members who call Japan home, we are in an opportunistic time. We do not know what's going to come of the summits with North Korea, but I can tell you that they are happening in part of the many dedicated people that are in this room and throughout the command. What does it mean to be a commander? A commander is responsible for everything a unit does or fails to do. Commander is accountable. As they say, the buck stops here. Commander wakes up at night, even when everything is going very well, just wondering, what am I missing? The commander builds teams, coalitions, and partners to deliver results. Colonel Pazos embodied all of these things. As we bid farewell today to Colonel Pazos, I'd like to highlight some important accomplishments that he led this district to achieve. But I'd be remiss if I did not first mention that Pete would not have made it this far without his lovely wife, Viviana. Unfortunately, she and the kids could not be here for the ceremony, but I know they're anxiously awaiting for him as he gets off the plane in Washington, D.C. in just a few days from now. Pete and Viviana made a tough call for their family. They separated for 2 years while Pete served here in Japan. This was a tough 2 years. Not for Pete, because he had all of you in this room to be his family, but for Viviana. She took care of the family at home. Philippe, their oldest son, finished the sophomore year at Cornell University, where he's majoring in computer science and engineering. His daughter, Vivi, graduated high school. And I know Pete looks very fondly here in a short period of time, he's going to take her to his alma mater, Virginia Tech, where she'll join the Corps of Cadets. And lastly, his little baby girl, Kiki, finished first grade. And I know Pete can't wait to get home and be with his little girl. Pete, I know your parents are also very, very proud of you today. Philippe and Martha, I know, are very proud. They probably had no idea that you'd be making such an impact this far away from home, and 10,000 miles, I think, from where they live in Venezuela. But they are very, very proud today, and I know they're with you. Colonel Pazos produced amazing results as a commander. His accomplishments followed a formula for success, though. It was people and then the programs. So a little bit about the people. Pete built a team of more than 250 Department of the Army soldiers and civilians. Even with the average length of stay at just over 2 years, he's able to build and maintain this team. How did he do this? Well, he leveraged the bedrock of the district. It's more than 180 Japanese national employees. These employees are the continuity of the organization. Many of these employees make the Corps of Engineers a 20 to 30-year career, and we could not do it without them. Pete brought together a myriad of stakeholders, including United States Army Forces of Japan, the Navy, the Marine Corps, Air Force, Army, SOCOM, DODEA, Missile Defense Agency, just to name a few. Pete forged deep partnerships with the Ministry of Defense here in Tokyo and across the 8 prefectures. He leveraged and partnered with Japanese construction industry, learning from each other. His focus on developing the future of the district was demonstrated in the district's robust leadership development programs, the science, technology, engineering, and math, or STEM outreach programs, and forging better human resource services for his Japanese national employees. Now to the program, the people, and the teams that accomplished it. Over the past 2 years, this strong team, led by Colonel Pazos, placed more than $3 billion in construction and turned over close to 200 projects over to stakeholders. Some unique and significant contributions include relocating the entire Carry Wing 5 to Marine Corps Base Station Iwakuni, to awarding the dredging of the Naha military port. For the people of Japan, the district is part of the largest land return in Okinawa since 1972, with the completion of the helicopter landing zones in the northern training area. A commander's legacy endures in the programs and teams that they initiate and continue, so that future commanders down the road will have success. An example of these ongoing programs include the F-35 program that enabled the first forward deployed Joint Strike Fighters, the DODEA program with 20 US funded and 5 host nation funded 21st century state-of-the-art schools, the Kigomasawa commercial power program, and the Sasebo shore power for the arrival of the Zumwalt class destroyer. The Aegis Ashore foreign military sales program with the government of Japan, SATCOM facilities in Okinawa, and the over $25 billion host nation funded programs to consolidate and relocation the Marines and other US military in Okinawa. Ultimately, it's the district that delivers on the mission, not the commander. The district does the hard work of protecting national interests, protecting our allies across the Indo-Pacific region, and promoting our critical Japanese-American alliance. At this important transition ceremony, we also welcome the incoming Japan Engineer District, Colonel Thomas Verell, and his family. Thomas's wife, Benef, is no stranger to the military or to Japan. Benef retired from the Army just last July as a lieutenant colonel after a career in the military police and information operations branch. Thomas's son, Cameron, and daughter, Violette, are returning to Japan after a one-year tour in beautiful Carlisle, Pennsylvania, my home state. But welcome home, welcome back to Japan. Thomas brings a wealth of experience as the 20th commander of JED. He just served as the USFJ Command Engineer from 2015 to 2017. In that capacity, he was responsible for negotiating and completing the return of nearly 10,000 acres of northern training area in Okinawa. Additionally, he negotiated over $100 million of government of Japan funded projects for the Marine Corps Air Station Futenma facilities. As a battalion commander, previously he deployed his RCENT BSTB or STB into theater. And as a major, he served in the Corps of Engineers Baltimore District and also at the headquarters USACE as an XO to then Major General Strock, a former Chief of Engineers. Bottom line, Thomas is the right officer at the right time to take command of JAD. In closing, over the last month, I got to spend about 2 weeks traveling throughout Japan, visiting projects, meeting with stakeholders, and district personnel. I can tell you one thing. The district is strong. The district is poised to take on the challenges ahead, including a dramatic increase in workload and/or any mission that comes its way. At the end of the day, it's about protecting our country and our alliance partners here and across the Indo-Pacific region. Thomas and Benef, Sherry and I look forward to working with you and being part of your command. Essayons, building strong.
Ladies and gentlemen, the outgoing Japan Engineer District Commander, Colonel Rafael F. Pazos.
Brigadier General Tickner, Mr. Kikowski, Colonel Grabsky, Colonel Cage, members representing the Japan Ministry of Defense and Defense Bureaus, Mr. Takano, Mr. Sugiyama, Mr. Miyazaki, Mr. Oyiga, Mr. Moro, Mr. Sato, Mr. Inoue, from the Ground Self-Defense Forces, Colonel Amako, Colonel Shibuya, fellow commanders, members across all services in Japan, officers, soldiers, family, friends, and employees of the Japan Engineer District, I'd like to thank you all for taking time from your busy schedules to attend today's ceremony, and especially for our Japanese partners for honoring with their presence here today. I stand here today feeling truly grateful for having the honor of leading this great organization for the last 2 years. I'm proud to have furthered this great district's legacy and leave knowing that we have played a key role in maintaining a strong U.S.-Japan alliance, which now more than ever is critical to providing peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific region. So in my closing remarks, I want to give thanks to the many that enabled my tenure in command. This truly was a team effort. In starting, I want to thank those that made today's ceremony possible. Ceremonies are an important part of our Army, and they do not happen by themselves. Thanks to the district staff at the front office, security, logistics, for conducting such a flawless ceremony. To the U.S. Army Band's Pacific Brass, the Army's finest, thank you for the music. You sounded wonderful. Chaplain Hernandez, thanks for blessing this event. In opening, I want to first thank Lieutenant General Semonite, our Chief of Engineers, who had the confidence in me to command this great organization. Never short on energy, General Semonite's direction to revolutionize our process to deliver the program has been a steady beacon that had given us the direction needed. I could not give any less than my best with his example of professional leadership. Thank you to my 2 Pacific Ocean Division commanders, Brigadier General Andrziak and Brigadier General Tickner, along with their 2 great command sergeant majors, Sergeant Major Tate and Sergeant Major Toussaint. General Tickner, thank you very much for those kind words. Your continued emphasis to work as teams, you have provided just the right amount of leadership, guidance, and energy to enable this district to succeed. You have given me the latitude command in my own way. I hope I did not stray too far from center line. To the POD senior leaders, thanks, both Gene Bond and Mr. Gary Kikowski, as well as the entire POD staff. You and your staffs truly ensured that we were as successful as possible. Special thanks to my fellow district commanders within Pacific Ocean Division, Mike Brooks, Steve Bales, Jim Hoyman, and Teresa Slosher. Each supplied the perfect mix of humor, experience, thoughtfulness, and wise advice. I'm grateful to each of them for their camaraderie, and as a group, they're simply unbeatable. Thank you to all the U.S. Army Japan, U.S. Army Garrison Japan, and other Army units in Japan. The commanders, key leaders, and support personnel of these many organizations were great teammates, providing all the support that JD needed both here and in Okinawa. In particular, I want to thank Major General Pascaret, who unfortunately could not be here today. His leadership was invaluable to building a great Army team. Steve, please let the CG know that I plan to deliver a container with dredge material from Naha Port, hopefully this fall in the Pentagon. Thanks as well to both Colonels Will Johnson and Phil Cage. You made sure that every element of support was provided to JED, and I truly appreciate your efforts managing the best golf course in Japan. I would also like to thank our partners at 4th Engineer Group. Over the last 2 years, thanks to the leaderships of Colonel Yoshiharu and Colonel Amako, our 2 organizations, the engineers at Camp Zama, have restarted a partnership based on shared professional and personal goals. I very much appreciate the great teamwork and partnering within U.S. Forces Japan, with the Air Force, the Navy, the Marine Corps, across the width and breadth of Japan. With your efforts, we have achieved many successes on the construction and engineering of projects over these last 2 years. I would like to give a special thanks to our great partners in the Japan Ministry of Defense and all the defense bureaus. It is difficult to overstate the tremendous partnership that exists between the MOD and Japan Engineer District. This partnership has been built over multiple decades, and our two organizations have overcome every challenge and together have delivered high-quality, critically needed facilities and capabilities for United States Army military forces in Japan. I have enjoyed being part of this partnership, especially Mr. Hirai, who also could not attend here today due to the current disaster response in west of Japan. Your leadership and dedication to this partnership sets the example that allows JED to have great relationships with the defense bureaus. Here is where we truly deliver. In my visit to the defense bureaus, I have always been welcomed. From Hokkaido to Okinawa, thanks for sharing the uniqueness of each region and teaching me how to conduct business in Japan. The debate continues as to which style of okonomiyaki is better, Osaka style or Hiroshima style. Finally, to JED, thank you. It is bittersweet to say goodbye. Over the last 2 years, I have enjoyed working with the most professional and dedicated group of people I have had the pleasure to work with. I am truly fortunate to have had this great opportunity. We sit at a moment in time with a historical workload. Our U.S.-funded work has never been higher. We have more MILCON projects to award than any other district in the Corps of Engineers. On the host nation construction side, we're completing the build-out of Marine Corps Air Station Iwakuni and have achieved irreversible momentum with a Futenma replacement facility at Camp Schwab, which I expect to see landfill starting later in August. We are partners in bringing Aegis ashore as part of improving Japan's ballistic missile defense capabilities. These programs, each with multiple superlatives, require true professionals dedicated to delivering these most critical programs. But throughout this heavy workload, JED has remained a family. Whether it was supporting an on-post event by our Civilian Wellness Council or a barbecue hosted by engineering, these events have built our team and have made serving in Japan a memorable experience. Like every military organization in Japan, JED is a combination of US and Japanese employees. In our case, the split is nearly equal between both. Each part of the command is essential to success, but without our Japanese national employees, we simply could have not gotten the job done. To our Japanese national employees, I want to let you know that you are and will always be key to our mission success. You are the continuity when the US teammates rotate at an ever greater frequency. You keep the work moving no matter who the commander may be. You have been true professionals, teaching me about the process of our business and executing tasks that build to success, and especially how it's done in Japan. From you, I have learned about the Japanese culture, and in doing so, I have been able to better understand the beauty and uniqueness of Japan. I truly feel honored to have served in your midst. Thank you. I have been fortunate of having a great team to support me. Though I will undoubtedly miss some, I would like to thank those who have made my tour possible and successful. To my deputies, Lieutenant Colonel Brig LeMaster, Major Jerry Hansbrough, and now Lieutenant Colonel Dan Segura, thank you for allowing me to command by taking care of running so many of the important tasks to keep the district running. I had never to worry about missing metrics or any type of foundational task. Our metrics were always green. To my corporate board members, Ray McNeil, Rod Marcutin, Otto Thompson, Ryan Bernsteiner, Bill Mills, Angela Patterson, Mark Jones, and John Pikert, you have truly helped me learn the business and run the district effectively. You're tremendous professionals who know your business forwards and backwards. Thank you for your dedication to making JD a better organization every day. To my executive office team, Mr. Pat Oyabe, Doris Bryant, Martin Taylor, Nano Betts, Yoko Fromm, Tony Mayne, Mike Shucker, and Stacy Fanai, thanks. Thanks for keeping my schedules and travel straight. This assignment has truly been plane, trains, and automobiles. I am very grateful for your efforts and going above and beyond every day. I owe a special thanks to Mr. Shibata, who has served as my advisor and liaison to the government of Japan. He has truly been remarkable, a true professional. He has allowed me to better understand how the Ministry of Defense and Defense Bureaus operate, and in doing so, I have been much more productive in building the partnerships required to deliver our program. I also need to thank Mr. Ida, who has been my translator every step of the way. Thanks. I would be remiss if I did not thank the group of dedicated JD golfers that have allowed me to slightly improve my game. I leave knowing that we won last year's Commander's Cup, Army Birthday Tournament, and I expect to hear that JD carried the Commander's Cup again. Lastly, to my family, my lovely bride of over 20 years, Viviana, and my wonderful 3 kids, Felipe, Vivi, and Kiki, who unfortunately were not able to share serving in Japan for this tour. Viviana, thank you for your unwavering support, which has enabled me to complete this command tour. You are truly remarkable. You have sacrificed so much over the years through multiple deployments, moves, and training exercises. I'm so proud of how much our kids have grown and matured these last 2 years, especially Vivi, who graduated high school and will be taking through college just in a few short weeks. Please receive this bouquet of red roses that you would have received today if you were here present, and hopefully they're delivered on time. Again, thanks for supporting me through this assignment. I look forward to getting home tomorrow. As the district transitions, we now welcome another command team, Thomas Verell and Benef, along with daughters Violette and son Cameron. I'm thrilled to know that you will take on command. Thomas, there is no better job in the Army than commanding the Japan Engineer District. This is a great team that will certainly help you take them to an even higher level. Again, thanks to all the members of the Japan Engineer District for making me part of your family these last 2 years. I'm confident that you will succeed in addressing the challenges ahead. As I transition, my thoughts and prayers will always be with you. Thank you again, and best of luck. Essayans, arigato gozaimashita.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 20th Japan Engineer District Commander, Colonel Thomas J. Verell, Jr.
So my eyesight isn't my only handicap. I hope that the golf team wins despite my probably less than average play on the golf course. So good morning. First of all, I want to thank God for his grace and love of all people around the world. Brigadier General Tickner, Mr. Kiskowski, Colonel Grabsky, Colonel Amako, Colonel Sibilia, fellow officers, sergeants major, U.S. and Japanese service members and government civilians, friends and family. It is my humble honor to succeed Colonel Pete Pazos as the 20th Commander of the Japan Engineer District. Colonel Pazos has done an extraordinary job commanding in the current complex and ever-changing environment here in the Indo-Pacific region. I'm truly amazed how much has been accomplished in just the last year since we left. It showcases the collaborative environment within the Alliance, the services, and all engineers. As I look out into the audience, I'm very happy to see a lot of very familiar faces. It is my honor that so many people came. Benef and I are very excited to be back in Japan. We've only been back for just over a week, and it feels like we never left. As Benef, Cameron, Violette, and I were riding on the train on the 4th of July, I was overcome by a feeling of being home. I can't really explain why, but the rich culture, traditions, history of our two great nations and the amazing memories from our previous assignment here combined to make Japan a very special place for my family and me. I've grown so emotionally, spiritually, and professionally because of my experience here. And this is from all those interactions and lasting relationships I've had here in Japan. There's no place I'd rather be, and I can't wait to renew and strengthen all of the great relationships from our time at U.S. Forces Japan, as well as meeting and building new relationships with the people throughout this great alliance. The U.S.-Japan alliance is the model for all alliances and is critical to peace, security, and stability of the region. Together, we make the world a safer place. Very proud to be the newest member of the JED team and vow to continue the tremendous support Colonel Pazos and his all-star team provide to the alliance, our Japanese partners, and U.S. forces in Japan. Thank you, and God bless.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the singing of the Engineer and the Army songs. The words are located in the rear of your programs. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's change of command ceremony. Please join us in giving well wishes to Colonel Pazos in front of the stage. At the official podium. Colonel Verell will host a welcoming reception at the Camp Zama Community Club. Essaons, building strong, Army strong. Thank you for attending and have a great day.